So Chris Mathews, if you followed this show, you know that he's an establishment journalist, that he doesn't ever go against the status quo. Whichever way the wind is blowing, that's where he's going. He was for the Iraq War when it was popular. He's against it when it was unpopular. Same thing with the Clintons. He was against the Clintons when it was popular, for him when he's up. So now he gave an interview to Hillary Clinton last week that was so egregiously anti-Bernie Sanders and so butt-kissing of Hillary Clinton that Esquire magazine called him out for it. And so here's some of it. Here's some of that interview, and let's see what you guys think.
Only opponent now. It's really a battle since Martin O'Malley, Governor O'Malley, has withdrawn. It's a two-person race. The only person, and I'm going to say this bluntly, the only person between a confirmed socialist who's calling for political revolution in this country, winning the nomination of the Democratic Party, which has always been more moderate than that, is you. So when you saw that rally last night, the young people all around Senator Sanders, when he yelled revolution out there and they all applauded like mad, do you think that's something that is going to help in the general election? Or are we looking at what we used to call in the 60s an NDC campaign? November doesn't count. We just want to win the party. We don't care about the general. You seem to be focused on the general. How do you beat a person who's coming along in the primaries, however, who's saying, I'm going to give you all the things you want, free tuition, more Social Security benefits without an increase in your taxes, health care from birth to death, all the government paid. How do you compete with a revolution of promises, really?
Wow. That was considered a question by a journalist. That was considered a question. That would be considered a political speech anywhere in the world. And by the way,
I almost thought he was going to end it by going, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'm out of town. I'm out of time. Thanks for being here. That's what I thought he was going to say. I'm out of time. Thanks for being here. I mean, he's just...
Or what if Battle Hymn of the Republic just started playing in the background? Like that's...
So instead of holding her feet to the fire about the stuff she's doing in the campaign, he's just sitting there beating up on... Now, this is right before New Hampshire. So this is after the Iowa win. And so he's doing that thing again of the old person. I'm afraid of Bernie Sanders. I'm afraid of revolution. Oh, my God. This sounds like Fox News. He's going to give you all the free stuff. How are you going to pay for that? Like, he never heard of the New Deal before. Like, he doesn't know how any of this works. So here he goes on more.
I think you're offering a lesson in civics, and I wonder if we can do that in a couple of weeks. Now, look, the history of the Democratic Party, your party, not Bernie Sanders, he's not a Democratic Party member. Your party has produced the New Deal. It produced the progressive income tax came from the Democrats, from Wilson. Social Security, the greatest anti-poverty program ever, came from Roosevelt. And Harry Truman started to fight for health care and civil rights and all these good things that led to the Affordable Care Act. But in every case, you had to battle Republicans who voted against it to the last person. And it's always been a tough fight.
So he's trying to say, but even when we got these great things, every Republican voted against it, and we had to fight. It was always going to be a big fight. So he's implying that these guys that are with Bernie Sanders, what Bernie Sanders is saying is crazy because you're going to have to fight for it. But he's using an example of when we had to fight for something. You're using the example of FDR and all the things we had to fight for as an example of why we shouldn't fight anymore for things. That doesn't make sense. Again, I'm telling you, their arguments don't make sense against Bernie Sanders. On their face, they don't make sense. Well, what Frank was saying last week on the show didn't make any sense. He's saying that Hillary Clinton can't be, again, this is a bad argument. This is a horrible argument.
And Chris Mathews was making the slur that Bernie Sanders hasn't always been a Democrat. Well, neither has Hillary Clinton.
Yes, this is correct. So did you have something to say, Brian? Let me play a little bit.
That was really his crucial thing. He's like, well, he's not a Democrat because he's an independent. And then saying like, look at all the great things Democrats have done. And it's like, yeah, Hillary Clinton wouldn't do those.
Yes.
Like, Bill Clinton certainly didn't do those things. He didn't create great society. He didn't create great social programs. He didn't even champion them. As a matter of fact, he
went the other way.
He championed welfare reform, which was a horrific thing for the working poor.
He was no friend of the working man. Hillary sat on the Walmart board. Let's remember that. She was on the board of directors for Walmart. Okay? So here we go. You had something to say, Mark?
Well, just about after Goldwater, there was the Democratic Leadership Committee that was put together to prevent to push the party to the right and also to court big money interests to the Democratic Party. And the chairman of that committee was Bill Clinton.
Okay, so
And it was,
let's keep going.
Republicans who voted against it to the last person. And it's always been a tough fight, and you need 60 votes in the Senate. You need 218 in the House. You need these
18,
votes.
right,
And if you don't have them, nothing gets
That's right.
done. The Bernie people need to be taught, not him, he won't be taught. Can the kids behind him need to be
It's that thing again of the kids, they don't know how things, you can't get things. Look how hard it was for us to get things. So that, again, can someone explain to me how he thinks this is a real argument? Hey, when we got these things done before, Republicans fought against them, and we still got them. And now they're going to fight against them again. So now we shouldn't fight against them. That doesn't make sense, right? That's not logical. It's not. That's
Jimmy,
not
it makes
consistent,
perfect
right?
sense.
I'm not
It makes
making.
perfect sense because Bernie Sanders will have to fight the Republicans in Congress. That's the reason why you shouldn't vote for him. Makes perfect sense.
That doesn't make any sense
It's
whatsoever.
the same argument as people saying like, "Oh, he's got too much baggage." Like, so is Hillary Clinton. Like,
These arguments, this argument right here, Robert, is the worst argument I've ever heard. Hey, these guys don't know how things work. We got stuff done, but it was hard.
Yeah. Do these kids know how hard it's going to be?
What the?
Like,
It's
Are
always
these
been
kids-
hard.
Are these kids enrolled in civics? Do they understand
And
process?
how condescending was that to Bernie Sanders, a guy who's been in political life for 30 years.
On
who's
the
called
right side.
On the right side. Who's been called the Amendment King.
Yeah.
But Chris Mathews is going to give him a lesson. The guy who might be our next president. Chris Mathews is going to give him a little lesson in how things work. Well, guess who's been giving you a lesson in how things work? Bernie Sanders and the American people. They're sick and tired of corporate news. They're sick and tired of corporate politicians. And they're sick and tired of one big rigged society. And you're a big part of it, Chris Mathews. And this is a big part of it. And people see right through you. Hang on.
Oh, this is how it works in our system. You can call for a revolution, but it ain't going to happen. There ain't going to be a revolution. There's going to be an election, an inauguration, and then there's going to be a Congress sitting with you got to do business with, no matter who gets elected.
I get,
there's not going to be a revolution?
I don't understand. I still don't understand that point. You're not gonna get things done. So why even try? This is the yes, we can't. That's what this is. Yes, we can't get things done. That's what this is. This is amazing. And so people were pointing this out that Chris, so even if Chris feels this way, that's one thing if you feel that way. When you have Hillary Clinton on your program, you should hold her feet to the fire on a few things.
Right.
But what he's doing, it's okay if you feel that way. You got to go after her a little. You got to do something. You got to say something. Nothing. Nothing, but how about, wasn't it something that Bernie Sanders was down 41 points in May and he came back to tie you in this state? And now he's going to kick your ass in New Hampshire coming up? And what do you have to say about that? Why don't you resonate with people?